Death comes for us all. Even for kings it comes. You will have to make a choice.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama. Welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws on Netflix segment.
Today we're covering the second season of Masters of the Universe. It's called Revolution.
Now this only 5-episode event
That's
shows
it.
Prince Adam and his friends facing the new threat of Hordak,
Which they don't.
and the Motherboard as they rise to take over all of Eternia.
And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification button to feature podcasts and little pause videos.
Yes, thank you for joining us today, supporting us, subscribing, following us on social media. We really appreciate you so much.
Yes.
Now here's the good news. Kevin Smith actually listened to the criticism and the complaints from Revelations, and almost everything that was requested of the first season and wasn't done was done in the second season. So it's actually a plus and better than Disney.
Yes. I have to say, there was marked improvement for ones that didn't care so much for the first season.
And there were specific things that were addressed that were taken care of.
Right.
One was how the women were depicted
Yes.
and drawn. 2 was Tila. They replaced,
All together.
Right. They replaced her voice actress with Melissa Benoist. If you know her, she was Supergirl on the CW network.
Mm-hmm.
And he called in more voice actors and also more stars from various seasons of Star Trek,
Yes.
including John Delancey.
Right. And it looked like
And William Shatner. How dare I? And William Shatner.
Right.
Shat Daddy.
Right. And it looks like the 2 biggest draws for this season were William Shatner and Keith David. However, they tried to advertise it as one voice actor was for one group and another voice actor was for the other, when it just should have been for anybody that has seen them or heard them in different shows and movies.
Correct. Also, Gates McFadden, she was in The Next Generation along with John Delancey, who
Right.
played Q. Another thing is the animation had vastly improved.
Yes.
The animation looked great.
Yes, definitely. It still looked high quality, still had a lot of color, it looked like still detailed, great effects, great animation during the fight scenes. That still remained the best part of the season.
And He-Man was alive the entire time this season.
Right.
And I would say the biggest thing is what we've been wanting since the original show back in the 80s. Teela and He-Man finally confirmed their relationship is canon.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, that was the best thing about this entire series. Not telling you it was bad. It was really exciting. You finally saw them get together.
Right.
There were fireworks, and they did the Sailor Moon transformation.
Right together.
And it was fun. That really was a fun part of the ending.
Right.
And another thing is this time, Kevin Smith did not leave it to other people. He wrote the entire script himself.
Right. So if anything went right or wrong, it would be literally solely on him, since he was in charge of most of the production. Because there were lots of people that worked on the first one, and it's possible that a lot of things got mixed up when they were making it because of how things came across, and it's not intentional. So at least in here, it wasn't 5 to 10 people doing one script and all the writing.
Right. So I'm going to read you quickly the storyline from IMDb, because it does not have a Wikipedia page, believe it or not.
Right.
And then Rascal can tell you the couple of things that she noticed that were actually canon from the original series,
Right.
that he actually put back into season 2.
Right.
The new epic chapter in the battle for Castle Grayskull. The newly mechanized Skeletor, armed with the might of Motherboard, attacks the heart of Eternia while Prince Adam grapples with the new responsibility and what that means for him as He-Man. Adam is forced to choose between the scepter or the sword, and in life is either the king or the champion. Meanwhile, the new sorceress Teela searches for the secret of snake magic in the midst of dark smoke to build a magic realm and help He-Man hold off the greatest threat Eternia's ever faced. The return of the despot Hordak, the ruthless leader of the Horde Empire.
Right.
So you go ahead and tell them the canon things that were put back into this season that were non-existent in the first season.
Right.
And then we'll go over the cast quickly to let them know everyone who appeared.
Right. Well, first, they managed to be able to put in the World of She-Ra back into He-Man, just not as super directly because of licensing issues with the Mattel and wanting to be solely separated from the DreamWorks version. 2 would be that Skeletor's backstory went back to what it was originally, because in the first season, Kevin Smith and another writer wrote a backstory, graphic novel, comic, whatever, for Skeletor, and in that version, Skeletor was from a planet of skeleton people. He was a ruler, then it got taken over. He went from a good-hearted leader to an evil, tyrannical guy who's gone crazy, and was like, what the heck are you talking about? And people were furious because it would change everything, so they decided to get rid of that and go back to the canon where Skeletor was the king's brother, and he had ran off. So they at least put that back into the story because it seemed really odd that they went through all that to make an entirely different storyline. So now you don't even have to go and read it to see, you can just skip it.
And he kept reminding us of the Thor, the first movie.
Yeah.
With Lotor and Thor. Randor's, that's his mom, not
brother.
Randor. Randor is the, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Keldor is the brother, right?
Thank you.
So.
Keldor. And he was blue. Like
Right.
Loki.
Ha!
Yeah, and then it just, that's all we kept thinking of was the MCU Thor.
Right. And lots of elements from that for sure. Another thing that was fixed, as you mentioned, was Teela. She acted more like the Teela you know from the other incarnations,
Yes.
where she's more of a likable character, because she was very out of character the first season and really unlikable. So they managed to rectify that and not have her just be a jerk the whole time and trying to restore Eternia, so you knew that she was not a bad person at all. Evil Lynn, I'm not sure what they did with her. I guess they were trying to say she was on her own redemption arc, but they didn't feel like a redemption arc. She didn't even fix the problem. Steela did, and she gets rewarded.
And she kept telling her what to do.
Yeah.
She kept telling her, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, and it's like, why don't you do it?
And Evil Lynn got, Lynn, I should say now, she got rewarded even though Teela did all the work, go figure. And the last thing would be restoring a lot of the characters to the storyline that were missing. Like, remember, they brought back Orko at the end of the first season. The Sorcerers, of course, is still gone since Teela's the new one. The only thing that was newly added was, this is a spoiler here, that they killed off the king for literally no reason.
In the first episode.
First episode, he's gone. First episode, he's gone. Said he's had a organ condition that's uncurable, and he's had it for a while and never said anything. One, it was never brought up the first time. So they just decided we're going to kill off the king, period, so He-Man can take the throne. And then it seemed eerily similar to what happened with the actor who played Black Panther. And it seemed, I don't know if they were using that as an inspiration or it was a reference to that, but it seemed too on the nose similar to that. And this character isn't even real. And they really tried the other 12 or 14 minutes of the episode to get you to really cry and feel bad and be sad the person's gone. But it doesn't work because you didn't get to see enough of him before they said, okay, we're taking him out.
Absolutely, yeah. No investment in the character. No development. So, right, it was just like something was happening and you were hoping it would hurry up and finish.
Right.
Now, that being said, this was immensely better, I think, for most people who watched in the first season.
Right.
We liked the first season except for him being killed off. And the last episode was the best episode of the first season.
Yeah.
And this one, you actually had 3 episodes that were fairly good.
Yeah.
And having brought back canon elements was great.
Right.
And again, He-Man and Teela getting together was fantastic.
Right.
So I do like that he listened to what was said, because it really got ugly before. But he actually listened. And he addressed them, and he made changes, improvements, and corrections. And I'm going to say it again, it's a heck of a lot better than Disney. Disney doesn't care how much you complain, what you say, what you do, how much money you don't spend. You're going to keep those books with the 10 same pages.
Ooh.
You're going to keep the crap corrections, an owl star.
Right.
You're gonna keep
Owl
the
star.
movies with the whole script being changed except for the name of the movie. They just don't care how we feel. They
Just
want
buy
to
it.
just take what exactly.
Yeah.
So I will give him mad credit for listening and improving based on what the concerns were the first time.
Right. And I think the only issue we had, and it's a rather minor one now because the show is only 5 episodes, I think it would be how Hordak and Motherboard were built up as the big villains of the season. They were not. Skeletor was still the big bad. Even if he was under control of someone else, he was still the main villain, the main antagonist. He took out the other 2 villains effortlessly, and we know it's partially because Kevin Smith has stated Skeletor was his absolute favorite character, even more than He-Man, because he loved his design. He didn't like he always lost, so he had Skeletor win like 3 to 4 times in this series because he thought he deserved to be, because he was the coolest guy in his book. So I thought there was a little bit of the letdown. He-Man never fought or faced against Hordak or Motherboard. They never even meet each other. Skeletor did all the work, all his story was brought up, and he was pretty much the leading man in that storyline. Yeah. He's just still fought Skeletor, and that was it.
So let's cover the stellar cast, because it was stellar. Mm-hmm. And then the one thing you brought up that I thought was interesting, I'd like you to share before we finish. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned, Melissa Benoist was Teela, Mark Hamill returned as Skeletor, William Shatner played Keldor.
Right.
Which I thought was odd. I thought he would be the dad, but he ended up being the brother.
I guess he had 2 different voices depending on what he turned into.
Stephen Root was Cringer, he returned, so did Chris Wood as He-Man, and Leon Cunningham as Duncan. Tiffany Stipp returned as Andra. We were surprised.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be someone else. Griffin Newman returned as Orko. Lena Headey was Evelyn again.
Yeah. Some
new ones were Gace McFadden, who played Dr. Crusher on The Next Generation, as Queen Marlena.
Yeah, I was
Keith
surprised.
David as Hordak. Meg Foster as Motherboard, and she actually played Evelyn in the live-action He-Man movie decades ago.
Right.
Ted Biaselli is Wildor, who appeared in there this time.
Right,
He had a much more important part in this season than the first season. Diedrich Bader returned as King Randor. John Delancey was Granomer,
yes.
we mentioned, who lasted all 5 minutes. Susan Eisenberg is the Sorceress. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Combs as Zodak, and Phil Lamar as Mendor.
Right.
So stellar cast. I mean,
definitely still.
Cast.
That's one of the highlights of both seasons is the cast and the animation.
And as you mentioned, there's only 5 episodes, so you can knock this out in one sitting.
Yeah.
And it's entertaining. It's good. I would give it a B-.
Yeah, definitely. Marked vast
Maybe just
improvement.
a B. Just give it a B.
Definitely
a B.
Vast improvement from the first season.
So you mentioned how the element of nihilism was still in season 2.
Yeah, and now we'll be upfront. Don't know the major beliefs of Kevin Smith, and it could be completely wrong, or this is just for the terms of the story only.
I'll add to that quickly. He made Dogma and a couple other movies where this was in there,
right.
So it kind of is what he kind of gravitates to.
Right. So with this one, there's even more emphasis on that ideology in this season, because last season they destroyed Preternia, which was their version of heaven. But I thought it was interesting enough, they get a second season and their version of hell is completely intact. So no matter how the person was when they lived, they all go to hell in the end, which was kind of saying a lot. No matter what they did, they went to the bad place and nothing they could do about it. And the whole plot line was them trying to restore Preternia so the ones that were deserving to be with the heroes could be there. So it's kind of like, okay, that's a new one.
And that was funny because we're going to bring it back. Oh, what's that?
You can just do that.
How are you going to do that? It's going to be easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Yes.
And it was. Within a couple seconds, it was back.
Yeah. All it took was a dragon, snake magic, and some other magic, and it's back.
So I would have to say that was the oddest thing here. If it was that easy to bring back, then you would have thought it would have been brought back in the first season.
Right.
So that was the only thing in here that really absolutely didn't work.
Right.
So if you have seen Masters of the Universe Revolution, let us know in the comments below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was mid? Did you think it was vastly improved from the first season? Have you watched both seasons? Let us know what you think. If you haven't seen it, it's available exclusively on Netflix to stream. Give it a watch, come back, and tell us what you think.
Right. And if you don't know, subscribe for updates to give videos, favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.